The Philadelphia Eagles made a lot of headlines after their big collapse last year. They were able to take over 2 new open coordinator gigs. They got Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio to take over as offensive and defensive coordinators respectively. And I mean, they're definitely upgrades compared to what they had before. I like the signings. I like the upgrades at all over the roster. Bring in Saquon Barkley, already huge addition. He is coming off an injury, yes, that has been the whole thing. I think Giants fans are just gonna say that all the time. That's fine, but the Eagles don't rely on one back either. They do running back by committee. It's not just one guy shouldering the load. Have a really good offensive line now. Sans Jason Kelsey, who retired, but still have Lane Johnson. You have really good Jordan Mailata. Landon Dickerson is a Pro Bowl talent guard. I think he could be all pro coming up this year. That's a very big possibility. Offensively, they look really, really good. Jalen Hurts has been great in training camp. I don't know if he's going to play this preseason, but he could play a couple of series just to make sure that there's no rust, because the Eagles did look a little rusty coming into the opener last year. Defensively, it's definitely a work in progress as well. The defense has lost Fletcher Cox, a big veteran, but Jalen Carden I think is going to get a elevated role under this Vic Fangio defense. You're going to look for Josh Sweat to replicate what he could do, because after a very good start last year, he just was a non-factor. Brandon Graham's going to be playing his last season. You're going to see what the new signing in Bryce Huff does. I'm really excited to see what he does in a extended role. Definitely, again, the defense, in terms of the middle linebacking core, it's going to be a weak point. Let's just face it, they don't use dollars there, and we see how they can adjust to making another switch there. I really do like them bringing in CJ Gardner-Johnson. He brings some physicality, some swagger to that secondary. He was great in limited action in Detroit, and now he's back in Philly. Darius Slade just looks fast now in training camp. He's going stride for stride with AJ Brown, one of the biggest, fastest receivers in the league, after suffering a knee injury late last year. So I think he'll be back to his usual Pro Bowl form. The CB2 spot is wide open. On the outside, we have Keely Ringo, the Georgia star from a couple seasons ago, and now he has a full year in the NFL. You have Quinion Mitchell, their first round draft pick. He is definitely getting some reps, but the surprise, I think, front runner so far is Isaiah Rodgers. He was suspended all last year due to gambling violations, and that's just something of itself. We have people who commit domestic violence out there, and yet they're getting shorter suspensions compared to people who gamble. Weird league, no fun league. Roger. Isaiah Rodgers has looked great in camp. He has the closing speed. He has trained so hard away from this team, and it'll be a really nice story to see if he's actually to finish this off and lock up the starting outside corner gig. You have the inside gig that's also wide open. You're seeing Quinion Mitchell also there in the slot. It's really open now because Cooper DeJean suffered a hamstring injury. I thought he was going to be the favorite to start in the nickel, but we'll see what happens. But it's nice to have this type of depth, and it's also quality depth. It's not just like you have a bunch of scrubs, and yes, that's depth, but it's healthy bodies, but now it's like talented depth, and that's something we haven't seen in the Philadelphia secondary in quite some time. It was very top heavy in 2022, but this year it's just a very well-rounded, talented room of defensive backs, and I'm very excited to see what it could turn into. Can they win this division? Absolutely, they should win the East. It's now a question of, can they contend with San Francisco, because they are aligning with them very much so. The roster is almost identical in terms of quality talent, the investments they've made to certain positions, but now it's just going to come down to putting on your chin strap and playing 17 games and seeing how the standings work out. So that's it for this episode of Spectator Sports. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Remember, to help this channel grow, we need your help. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, everyone.